Northwest Cavalryman Show, the podcast where your host, Rick Skolrud, discusses politics and news from Canada, the United States, and around the world, from a conservative perspective. Warning: professionally offended people and liberal crybabies may be triggered. Viewer discretion is advised. While we put the finishing touches on this podcast, you are invited to visit the show notes. There are links to all of Rick's social media, including his website where you can sign up to take the Canadian Firearms Safety Course, which is a prerequisite for obtaining your Canadian Firearms License, also known as a PAL. Rick teaches these courses in Maple Bay just east of Duncan on Vancouver Island, British Columbia. Now here's your host, Rick Skolrud.
Hey everybody, how's it going tonight? Just checking in with everybody, see who's all there, and if you wouldn't mind just letting me know how the sound is coming through as usual, because as usual I have no idea if the sound is coming through okay. Hello Harley, how's it going tonight? So tonight I wanted to talk to you about what's on a lot of people's minds in Canada, and we'll probably just kind of ramble on afterwards, but who is actually going to be running for the Liberal Party? Hey Brad, how's it going? Thank you very much, Brad. Yeah, so hey Jennifer. So who all is basically going to be running for the Liberal Party of Canada, and are they any good? Hello Tracy. It's really kind of curious, I think, whether or not these people why these people even want to run. I mean, like, the Liberal Party is in the toilet and they're not going to win, but I have a theory, and the theory is that if they run, that they don't really mind losing because they'll go on to the next election, or they just want to make a name for themselves as being a prime minister, whatever. But we've got a number of people listed, and I wanted to kind of go over a few of them to see what you guys think, and also pretty much what I think about these. Hello, Tracy. Hello, Jennifer. So before we do that, let's play. I did find a couple of clips today from a couple of people who may be interested, but they haven't declared yet. I don't actually think that anybody's declared yet, to be honest, but here's one.
Just to clarify, would you step away from cabinet if you were to run?
So that's the question I was just answering.
And I'm just trying to clarify.
Yes.
Would you? You would step away?
So for me, right now, the question I'm asking myself is, in the context of Canada-US, is where can I have the biggest impact? And so, of course, all of these different considerations that you're asking me are part of my reflection.
When are you going to make a decision?
What else is factoring into your consideration?
Well, everything. You know, when this is such an important decision, of course you have to think about your family, your loved ones, my own projects to become a mother, and at the same time to be able to defend Canada's interests. In the context of the Canada-US administration. So you know, this is something that not only I'm very concerned about, but we have to be extremely ready. Because the threat of tariffs is real. I think that when President-elect Trump talks, we need to listen, and we need to take him very seriously. I never take his threats lightly. At the same time, we can't take debate, and I think also that we're extremely strong as a country. Can I just finish? I think we're extremely strong as a country. I think our economy is strong. I think our people are strong, and I think we'll never back down.
For me, it's about.
So there you heard from. I'm not gonna say my nickname for her, but there you heard from Melanie Joly, and you know, I don't know. Like, does it really matter who becomes the next Liberal leader. I mean, yes, they will be prime minister, but for such a short length of time that it really, really doesn't matter, in my opinion. Now, I could be wrong about that. Maybe it will matter. Maybe they'll screw it up so bad that we'll be in even a worse situation than we are now. But I mean, I can't really imagine that happening. But here's another person that has thrown their name into the ring.
For me, it's about
or is considering.
I am not somebody who has been out organizing prior to the Prime Minister making his decision. That's just not me. So is there sufficient support within the caucus? And is there sufficient support with respect to the networks across the country? I'm doing a job that I think is a pretty important one right now, especially vis-a-vis President-elect Trump. Energy and natural resources is at the heart of the conversation we are having with the Americans. So I need to ensure that I can be competitive before I would walk away from the job that I have. I would say for me, the focus of the conversation will primarily be around the economy. I spent 25 years in the business community. I used to be the CEO of a number of different companies. I actually think that it's time for us to really be digging in and focusing on the economy. It's about productivity. It's about affordability. I also think, and I say this all the time, that Canada works best when Canadians work together. I have built relationships of trust with virtually every province and territory in this country, including Danielle Smith and Scott Moe. I think we need to actually reinvest in cooperative federalism and in focusing on economic outcomes.
But Mr. Poilievre is calling it a carbon tax election. So should you enter this race, would you be open to reconsidering the current position on applying a consumer carbon price? Would that be something you'd be prepared to entertain or propose a different policy than what's already on the books?
You know what? I am committed to climate action because I actually believe in science, unlike Mr. Poilievre, who somehow seems to believe in fairy dust. At the end of the day, I got into politics because of climate change. I'm worried about the future that we are leaving our children if we do not take action, but we have to be smart about how we do it. We need to do it in a way that's affordable, and we need to do it in a way that seizes economic opportunity. I am tired of listening to Mr. Poilievre and his ridiculous three-word rhymes. At the end of the day, I would be happy to take him on one-on-one on the carbon price any day of the week.
So there you have it. You have Johnathan, Wilkison, and Melanie Joly have been questioned about whether or not they're going to run, whether or not they're going to stay in cabinet if they do run, and what they think about it. But I mean, personally, I think that Johnathan Wilkison, he's a funny guy. Like, he always starts off in question period, kind of at a normal pitch. Then as he goes on with his answer, he just gets louder and louder and louder. And you know, the pitch goes up and he just gets red in the face. It's like he's going to have a heart attack. I don't think being a prime minister would be very good for his heart. I tell you what, like, I think that they should probably put a defibrillator underneath his desk or beside his desk, because he just gets so worked up during question period. I don't know much about him other than what I've seen in question period. I don't know if he'd be good or bad or whatever, but I just don't see him as being prime ministerial, to be honest with you. But I don't really think that I see any of them as being prime ministerial. I think the one person that maybe could possibly be prime ministerial would probably be Christy Clark, whom I think is a disaster. I wouldn't want to see her as Prime Minister of Canada because she's been here and in BC, and she was horrible. She was horrible. She's also, I think that, what she did before she got on or entered the Liberal Party of British Columbia, she was a kind of a newscaster on can't remember that all talk. There's a couple of all talk radio stations, and I'm not sure which one she was on, but I heard some of her encounters, and she's just horrendous. Like the way she spoke to her guests. Why anybody would go on her channel there, the way she spoke to him. But so Christy Clark, I think she'd be the most prime ministerial, but I hate her, and I don't think that she would be very good. Maybe it would be funny to watch her, become the prime minister for 2 or 3 weeks and then get tossed aside because of the election. Because as soon as Parliament comes back, they're going to go to an election. So, whatever. I don't like her. I don't think that she'd be good. Then, of course, there's Chrystia Freeland. Now, I don't think she's announced either, unless she's done so today while I've been, putting together all this stuff. But, she's, I can't see that anybody would vote for her. Not that anybody's going to vote for them anyway, but she might not even keep her seat, which is interesting. But she's been the worst finance minister ever, in my opinion. But, her and the next candidate on the list, Mark Carney. This is one thing I can't understand. Like, why would Mark Carney want to even throw his hat into the ring when he is, if he's a smart guy? Everybody says he's a smart guy. I don't know if he's a smart guy. I know that he's politically connected. I know that he has an agenda, but is he really that smart a guy? Because he's been a banker. But bankers have a very narrow focus, and the entire economy, I'm not sure if they're great for the entire economy. Especially, he drove up the last, or the deficit in the last, in the fall economic statement. That was all him. He's, talking to and giving, Trudeau advice and being the shadow finance minister. And then when everything, all the fallout happens with Chrystia Freeland, he says, nope, I'm out of here. I'm not taking that after all. He should probably be saying the same thing about being the prime minister or being the head of the Liberal Party, which again will be the prime minister for at least I think the minimum that we have for elections are 36 days. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. Then I heard that there's 2 names of people that I've never really heard too much about. Chandra Arya, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. And then Frank Baylis. Again, I really haven't heard too much about them. Maybe they would be good candidates then, because they're nobodies. I don't know if they're nobodies, but maybe they're nobodies. And they're just not going to be staying in all that long. And you know what? I'm thinking that, I don't know if this is true or not, but if you lose an election as a party leader, does that automatically throw the party into a leadership convention? Maybe it's different per party, but whoever throws their hat into the ring is going to have a very short run at it. But if they don't think they're going to win their seat, then maybe it's worthwhile, because they can put on their resume, Prime Minister of Canada. Then we have this guy. I just don't like this guy at all. Francois Philippe Champagne. Some of the reasons I don't like him. Like I don't like the way he presents in question period, especially when they're not. I would rather hear him speak French and then listen to the translator, because his voice is like piercing. It's damaging to my ears. I'll just put it that way. I can't stand to listen to him. He just screams and screeches and But then he's actually tied in a lot to the SDTC scandals. There was a lot of information coming out about whether or not he was, or companies that he had been associated to were getting money and all this stuff. So he is definitely far too corrupt, even for a short period of time, to be prime minister. So I would toss him out. Johnathan Wilkison, we heard about that just now. Yeah, the guy needs to walk around with a defibrillator, I think, because he just gets so worked up. Then we got Karina Gould. I'm probably pronouncing her name wrong. Gould, whatever. She's a ghoul. Probably just change her name to Ghoul. I can't stand her. Her, the way she goes on in the House, it's just, she doesn't have any respect for anybody across the way. I really wouldn't think that anybody would vote for her. There's probably other names on the list, but the one that, the last one on the list, we also saw a video of her at the start, Melanie Joly. I know most people don't like her, nor do I. But I think that because she's probably not going to win her seat, I guess that she is doing very poorly in her own riding. I'm thinking, you know what? Why not give it to her? Because they're not going to be in power for very long. As soon as, within days of them getting back in, Parliament's going to be dissolved, so they're not going to be doing any work, and then she's out of there. She could be the shortest prime minister in history. She won't be around long enough to do any damage. And you know what? Something pretty to look at while we're ignoring her, because basically we're going to ignore her. I don't know. She does, Norm, she does actually speak English fairly well, I think, but I don't know. I don't know who do you think they're going to put in, they're going to install? Who will be the next Prime Minister of Canada? Because unfortunately, this is actually one of the messed up things that about Canadian politics is you don't even have to be a Canadian citizen to vote for the leader of the Liberal Party. And because that leadership convention is actually deciding our Prime Minister, essentially you can be a foreigner and you're voting for the next Prime Minister of Canada, which I think is just complete nuts. How is that even? How do we even allow that to happen? If you think about it, it is completely nuts. You don't have to be a citizen, and you can vote for who's going to be the Prime Minister because of this loophole where there is not a general election. It's an internal election within the Liberal Party. So I don't know, to me that doesn't sound right, because the rest of us are going to have to deal with it. But I did see something come up not long ago, and I might do this myself. It's kind of funny because anybody in Canada can sign up to be a member of the Liberal Party of Canada, and they don't have to pay anything. I don't know if being a member of the Conservative Party of Canada kind of nullifies that, but let's say it doesn't. Let's say you can be a member of multiple parties. Well, then, you know what? Everybody in Canada could sign up and just put the lousiest person, nominate the lousiest person, because they're only going to be there for a couple of months, or not even a couple of months, less than a month. The problem is they get a lot of money. So I don't think anybody should, because the Prime Minister gets double the pay of a normal member of Parliament, and they get a whole bunch of extra benefits. So I don't think that we should be allowed to. I actually don't think that they should even be allowed to substitute this late in the game, because we know that they're going to be out within a month, and they're going to make whatever, 1/12 of $400,000 or almost $500,000, I think is close to what Trudeau makes when you add in the extras, because it's Yeah, I think it is 400, almost 400,000 or over 400,000, and then he gets some extras. So I think that even the fact that they're voting in somebody to replace this idiot, I don't actually think that they should get paid at all when they're during an election. You know, that would be good. But whatever. What is this? Are you a Justin Wrist Bandit? What the hell is that supposed to mean? I don't know. But Randy, have you been hanging out with Randy? I don't know. Anyway, I'll read through these and I'll catch up with the conversation later. But I don't know. What do you think? Who should be the next leader of the Liberal Party? Because they will be the Prime Minister for a very short period of time. And I think that I don't know. This whole thing stinks, in my opinion. It just completely stinks. And here's what Pierre Poilievre had to say about it as well.
Thanks very much, everyone. I just got a belated haircut, and the first thing that the hairstylist said to me is, "What the hell's going on? Everything's completely out of control. It's nuts. I've never seen it like this." And she's right. But before we get to the obvious of the last 60 days of Liberal chaos and the threats that weakness has invited from incoming President Trump, let's just talk about everything that was out of control before that. Housing costs, out of control, doubled after 9 years of NDP Liberals, rising faster than in any other country in the G7. Food costs, out of control after the NDP Liberal carbon tax caused grocery prices to rise 37% faster in Canada than in the United States, driving 2 million people to food banks. A quarter of our kids, according to federal data, are going to school hungry, and a quarter of our families are living in poverty. The worst inflation in 40 years. After out of control Liberal deficits and money printing increased our money supply by $700 billion, or 40%, that is to say 10 times faster than the growth in the output of our economy. Spending out of control. The deficit hit $62 billion. Remember, we were all supposed to accept the excuse that COVID caused the deficit, but as we get further and further away from COVID, the deficit actually gets bigger and bigger. The deficit 50% bigger than it was supposed to be, a fact we found out the same day that the finance minister who was supposed to tell us about this failure resigned and blamed her boss for that failure. Immigration is out of control with a 200% increase in year-over-year population growth, causing a massive housing, social service, and job crisis. Our borders out of control, with dangerous poisons pouring in from China and Mexico, and then manufactured into deadly fentanyl that has killed 47,000 of our people. Crime, completely out of control. Violent crime up 50%. Gun crime up 116%. And hate crime up 251% after 9 years of NDP Liberal radical, woke, catch and release criminal justice policies. Everything is out of control, and now our government is out of control. We have a lame duck Prime Minister, rejected and fired by his own caucus, unable to respond to threats from abroad or crises that he and his party caused after 9 years at home. And why did they get rid of him? Did Liberal MPs get rid of him because they disagree with his policies, doubling the housing cost? Did they say that all of a sudden they've changed their mind on quadrupling the carbon tax up to 61 cents a litre? Is it because they feel guilty over the hell they've unleashed in our streets? No. They say he's doing a great job. It's just that Canadians unfairly don't like him anymore. And that unpopularity threatens their power, paychecks, and pension. And so, right before an election, the Liberal MPs want to elect another Justin Trudeau who has a different face. They're all Justin Trudeau. They're all just like Justin. In the next election, I will be running against Justin Trudeau. Whether his name is Justin Trudeau, or his name is Chrystia Freeland, or Carbon Tax Carney, or Carbon Tax Clark, they will all be Justin Trudeau. They supported everything he's done, and they promise to keep doing it. And if they say otherwise, we know they're lying, because they would have done so earlier.
So that's what Pierre had to say. And he's right. It doesn't matter who's in power. It doesn't matter who they elect. He's running against Trudeau because he's running against Trudeau's record. So it's not going to make a whole lot of difference. So, I think that we're getting the same old, no matter what. And it'll be interesting to see who they put up. Whether they put up anybody, like as far as I know, nobody's truly throwing their hat in the ring, and they might think that it's a waste of time to do so. So you never know. We might just get an election with against Trudeau after all, so we can see him lose spectacularly and cry on TV and whatnot, because for sure that's what he's going to do. And of course, he's hiding from the Canadian press, but guess what? He's not hiding from the U.S. press. He was down in Atlanta, because that's where, I think it was Atlanta, because that's where CNN is headquartered. And he had this to say. I believe it was today.
President-elect Trump has been needling you a bit, calling you Governor Trudeau, talking about making Canada the 51st state. Did you have any interaction with him today?
No, not today. But that's not going to happen. Canadians are incredibly proud of being Canadian. One of the ways we define ourselves most easily is, well, we're not American. There is such a depth of pride that's not actually an issue. What I think is happening in this is President Trump, who's a very skillful negotiator, is getting people to be somewhat distracted by that conversation, to take away from the conversation around 25% tariffs on oil and gas and electricity and steel and aluminum and lumber and concrete, and everything the American consumers buy from Canada is suddenly going to get a lot more expensive if he moves forward on these tariffs. And that's something that I think we need to be focusing on a little bit more.
Did the re-election of Donald Trump and this more direct confrontation with Canada over this issue play any role at all in your decision to resign as leader of your party and prime minister? No,
on the contrary. What we were able to do during the first presidency of Mr. Trump's was work together in a very challenging situation to come out with a very strong win-win in Canada-U.S. relations with the renegotiation of the USMCA. It is a great deal for both of our countries. We've seen trade grow, we've seen opportunities grow, we've seen wealth grow in both of our countries for workers, for businesses. Working together concretely is something that we've been able to do in the past, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work with him for the next 2 months while I'm still in office.
Yeah, so what an embarrassment he is. He thinks that putting tax on whiskey and ketchup is going to save the day. I don't think that's really going to be the case. But we might not have to worry about that. We, as I did a video, I was really surprised. It's actually been my most successful video, and I didn't think it was going to get much traction at all, because all I did was really read a couple of newspaper articles and then comment on it, but didn't actually show any videos at all. And it was about challenges in the federal court to the prorogation. See, what happened, I know, and a lot of people in the comments to that are mentioning Stephen Harper, and he prorogated Parliament. But prorogation happens actually quite often. for many, many different reasons. But Democracy Watch was kind of, they regretted not challenging some of, or at least one of Stephen Harper's prorogations. And they probably also regretted not challenging one of Trudeau's prorogations when he didn't want to answer questions about the We charity. So those are, and those probably would have been successful because in 2019, and you got to remember that the Stephen Harper prorogations were prior to 2019, so they didn't have this precedence. But in 2019, the UK Parliament decided to prorogue Parliament to stop debate on Brexit for whatever reason. You know, not following British politics all that closely. I have, I spend all my time, here with Canadian politics and a little bit with the U.S., so wouldn't have time to follow the UK politics. But apparently, that's what Boris Johnson did, and the Queen allowed it because she was still alive, obviously at the time. But there was some advocate group that took it to court, and they ruled that it wasn't a legit part, that Boris Johnson, his request to the Queen was not legitimate, unconstitutional, whatever. But it wasn't. It was self-serving, and therefore illegitimate. So at that point, they ordered Parliament to return, and they returned the next day. So can that happen in Canada? Absolutely, it can. As a matter of fact, I know that the one of the lawyers, and probably both the lawyers who are, I think there's two different I don't know why I can't speak tonight, but there's two different groups who are challenging this. One is Democracy Watch, and there's another one. And apparently, they have asked for an and so that's going to be, so the hearing for that will be fairly soon. And if they get that expedited court date, it's only going to take them about a day to argue this point in court, they figure. So it's possible that we could have a reversal of this before the Christmas break is over. So you never know. This might actually be a good thing. We might be able to get out of this prorogation and then force Trudeau to face the music, as it were, to go up against Pierre Poilievre and get his butt royally kicked, which I would absolutely love to see. Because I don't think that he's basically running away. He's saying to everybody else that he's too chicken to go forward. Now I know that nobody in the Liberal Party wants him there, and they're all happy to see him go, but they're not going to win anyway, and it's just too late in the game. They have absolutely no chance of winning, and now at the last moment, he pulls the pin, runs away, hides for the rest of the winter, and nothing happens. So if the prorogation gets quashed, we will see a non-confidence motion, and hopefully it'll be sooner than later, because even though there are opposition days aren't until the end of February, the Conservatives had this plan where they would bring up a motion in one of their reports. I think it was on the Public Accounts Standing Committee on Public Accounts, I believe. It could have been another committee, but I believe it was Public Accounts. And that basically said that they had no confidence in the Prime Minister. So when that report gets entered into the House, there has to be a debate on it and then a vote. And that's essentially a non-confidence motion. The other thing that I'm kind of curious about is if prorogation is found to not be legitimate, has it occurred? Because, it's essentially in effect right now. So if it's found to be illegitimate, do they have to come back with a throne speech? And if they do, well, that's a matter of confidence as well. So it could be that we see a non-confidence vote right on, January 27th or a few days thereafter, which would be pretty cool. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know what's going to happen. I believed that he would prorogue Parliament, and obviously that came to fruition. But I wasn't aware of all of these potential court challenges, and that is really interesting to me. It's thrown a very cool wrench into the works, as it were. But really, should we even have prorogation? Maybe we should just have something similar to, let's just put it out there, a republic. I said on my last week's, I think it was last week, that I liked Queen Elizabeth. Not to say that I really thought that it was worthwhile still being part of the monarchy and having her as the Queen of Canada, but I really don't like Charles III. I think that he's a goof, and he's never really amounted to much. And why? And here's the other thing: if you understand how societies were created, really kings of the day were just the biggest bully on the block, and they, fooled everybody into believing that they were divinely ordained, or whatever that the proper term would be. But they weren't. They were just the biggest bully on the block. When people are herd animals or pack animals, however you want to see it, because we are predators, so I guess we're more pack animals than herd animals. But regardless, the vegans are herd animals and the rest of us are pack animals. But we're very social, and in both herds and packs, the alpha of the group becomes the leader. So the biggest bully of the group becomes the leader. And of course, in the development of people and whatnot, when they started taking over other tribes, other groups, other clans, whatever you want to call it, the biggest bully, the person who got the most people behind them, won. And and after a while, they decided that they could, convince people that they had the divine right of God to rule. And essentially, that's how kings and queens came about, right? Emperors, kings, whatever, started off as the biggest bullies on the block. So how did government start, especially the parliamentary system? It was a way to control people. It was never about serving the people. It was always about controlling the people, because the kings were lazy. They didn't want to do the work. So they gave it to other people. They delegated. And that's how parliaments essentially came. And they tried to convince people that they had a say in what was going on. And eventually we did. Eventually it did become a semi-democracy, which you don't want a full democracy, because then it's just, mob rule. But what I like about the U.S. system is their constitution, because they recognize that it was a government of the people, for the people, not, a rule of the monarchy. So the people, the government is there to serve the people. The people aren't there to serve the king. And that's what I like about that. And I like that they do have a rights-based constitution and a rights-based government, so that government is there primarily to protect the rights of the citizens. So is that something that we should go to in Canada? I absolutely think so. I absolutely think that we don't need the monarchy anymore. We didn't need it. We haven't needed it for 100 years. And whether or not, we join as the 51st to 60th state, or whether we form our own republic, I think that we need to get rid of the monarchy. I think it's time. What we create out of that, I don't know. I think that's something that we'd probably have to vote on by referendum. But I think it would be the best thing for Canada. As far as I'm concerned, the monarchy just costs us money and doesn't do us any good. And you can see that with the Governor General, and back in 2019, even with the Queen, where they allowed prorogation for self-serving means. So I think we should do it. But that's just my opinion. I just can't see the use of still having a constitutional monarchy here, especially since, when you look at the way our Constitution and our Charter of Rights is written, it's not, they don't have a statement in that it's an inalienable right, that these rights are inalienable, that they can't be taken away from it. In contrary to that, they actually have, sections that say that they can ignore the Constitution if they want. They just have to say notwithstanding. So clearly, the Constitution in Canada doesn't mean much, and the Charter of Rights in Canada doesn't mean much. If they can say notwithstanding this is what we're doing, that to me that means that it doesn't really mean anything. So I think that we need to get rid of it, and we need to rewrite the Constitution. Now, I know that last week a lot of people were talking about the website Canada, the myth is Canada. I believe that's what it was called. And I went to that website. I saw a portion of the first video. I didn't have time to watch all of it. I'm going to go back there and I'm going to take a look at it. But the premise, I don't actually believe the premise that the author of that is putting out there. And the reason being is this. It goes back to what I was saying about the creation of societies, right? And how it's groups of people. And groups of people come together and it's supposed to be a consensus. So, yes, the argument of the author was that Canada doesn't truly exist because Queen Victoria put a sunset clause in the British North American Act that was never acted upon by Canada. Even when the Constitution was brought back to Canada, we only got a photocopy, which is ridiculous, but nothing overrid, or we didn't override the sunset clause. They did that apparently in New Zealand and in Australia, but we did not override the sunset clause in the British North American Act. And that may be a good point for lawyers and judges and parliamentarians, but the truth is that societies are basically a consensus by the people. So if we, for example, and I'm not saying that, and I know a lot of people don't like the idea of joining the U.S., but let's just use that as an example. A lot of people say, well, it can't happen because of the British North American Act and the Crown, and they wouldn't go for it, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't matter. If enough people say, well, screw you, we're joining, then it can happen. It can be a referendum, just like the Declaration of Independence and then the Constitution in the United States. It's consensus of the people that matters. So not that I'm saying that it would happen, because I know it won't happen. I know that we will never get 51% of Canadians voting to join the United States. It's just not going to happen. Whether I like the idea, whether I don't like the idea, whether you like the idea, whether you don't like the idea, numerically, I just don't believe it's going to happen. I could be wrong, but that's just, that's what I believe. So I've been rambling on. Geez, I didn't think that I was rambling on for that long. It's been 45 minutes already. So let's go through. Doesn't look like anybody's on Rumble, so I'll just put that aside. I'm going to go through the YouTube comments and see if anybody had any points that we want to talk about. So again, thank you, Brad, for that donation. Jennifer, I think I said hello. Tracy, Norm, Brad again. Fern, I think I said hello to Fern. I'm not sure. But if I haven't, hello, Fern. Nelson, I know I did. Tina, I did as well. And then the Michaels. Neil, I don't think I said hello to Neil. Maybe I did. Hello, Neil. Let's see. Michael said, strongly suspect a Liberal will win, then God for idiocy. Otherwise, we'd give up when the situation seems helpless. Yeah, so I mean, somebody will run. Yeah, I'm not sure who. Maybe they won't. Maybe we're stuck with Trudeau, which is not really a bad thing, because there will be an election really soon, and we get to see him cry afterwards. Now, Tina, you said another cokehead thief. Who were you speaking of? Was that Joly, or was that Wilkison? Because I think I don't know. Maybe they both are. Maybe neither are. I don't know. I know that I suspect that someone who has the initials PM before their name may be. Scrolling down here. Never heard of him, not important enough. Are you talking about Wilkison? Johnathan? Somebody else? I don't know. He looks like a younger Jerry Nadler. That's from Michael P. I think you're probably talking about Johnathan. I never thought about it that way, but yeah, he kind of does. Norm, you think the next Liberal leader can't screw it up worse? How about Jagmeet as Liberal leader? Well, they're not going to be in power long enough to really do a lot of damage. Jagmeet can't be the Liberal leader, but you never know. Does he dye his hair much? You must be talking about Wilkison, because I noticed that today. Definitely a bad dye job there. Bogcat Y. Hello, Bogcat Y. I think Boohoo Barbie. So Melanie Joly? Probably. Yeah. Could be. Again, I think might as well, because she's probably the only one stupid enough to take on the job, and it doesn't really matter. She's going to be out. She can claim her 3 days as prime minister before Parliament is dissolved, and then we get somebody else. I wouldn't vote for the Liberals if Wayne Gretzky was leader. Probably I wouldn't even vote for. I don't know. Maybe. Wayne Gretzky is not going to be the leader of the Liberals. Definitely not. And that was from Jimmy Hatt. Hello, Jimmy. I don't think I said hello to you yet. CKNW. Yes, that's where she worked. That's where Christy Clark worked. She's the worst. But again, 2 days. 2 days before Parliament's dissolved. Who cares who really gets in? Other than the fact that I don't want to give them that extra pay. I really don't. I don't think anybody deserves it. I don't think Trudeau deserves it. I don't want to give them that extra pay. How about John Horgan? Didn't he just pass away? Or is that somebody else? Jimmy. I don't know. Is John Horgan still around? Who was the guy who just passed away? I thought it was him. I'm falling behind on my provincial politics. Oh, that does bring up something that I wanted to mention here. They have found irregularities. The BC Conservatives has found irregularities in at least one riding, which means that because their election was so close, they could actually have end up with a tie in the legislature. So that would be very interesting. But I haven't had time to read the full article, so I can't really report on it. I plan on doing that. But tomorrow I have to actually get started on finishing the student benches or student desks for my classroom, because I am having a class coming up on the 18th and 19th of this month. So if anybody lives on the island and wants to join that class, let me know. Links in the description to my website. Potted plant. How about a potted plant? A potted plant would probably be better. A goat would be too intelligent. Like those goats on the roof up near Parksville. Yeah. Jennifer O'Connell is brilliant. Is that Boohoo Boy? That's who you're talking about. Yeah, okay. I get it now. I thought you were talking about Joly. Jennifer O'Connell. Oh, she's horrendous. She's horrendous. Yeah. Twitchy free money. I wonder what she's on, or maybe she has a disorder or something like that. If she's got a disorder, I shouldn't make fun of her. But if she's on something, definitely I should. Carney, yeah, he's apparently now there's actually photographs of Mark Carney with assistants that were Jeffrey Epstein's assistants. So that's very curious at all. I think that if it comes out that he was an associate of Jeffrey Epstein, I don't think he's going to go very far in professional life anymore. But you never know. Whoever wins, how much money do they get a month worth or a year's minimum? So it's $400,000 approximately. I think actually it could even be more than that. Because they get double the normal, and I did this months and months ago. I actually did all of the salaries, but I just can't remember off the top of my head. But it's either $198,000 a year, and then you double that for the prime minister, or it's $203,000. It could be, and then you double that for the prime minister, and then he gets extras. So he's coming out close to $500,000, and of course, and that doesn't even count the fact that they don't have to pay for meals when they're in Ottawa. All of their meals are paid for because they're outside, because they're more than 40 kilometers outside of their riding. So the members of parliament who are actually from around Ottawa, they don't get that benefit, but all the other members of parliament get that. So when you calculate that into the mix, they're making a lot of money. You know, all of the benefits. They get a they get a housing allowance. Now, of course, the Prime Minister and Pierre Poilievre, they don't, because they live in housing. They get driven everywhere. They don't have to, or at least the Prime Minister gets driven everywhere. He doesn't have to pay for gas. He doesn't have to pay for insurance. As a matter of fact, they take his driver's license away from him. He's not allowed to drive. All sorts of things like that. So when you calculate all the other benefits, they get a lot. So I don't want anybody to get the job just because of the money that's going out. So whatever, let's say a $500,000 a year benefit would be divided by 365 and multiply that by the number of days. I don't have a calculator, and I can do math in my head, but just not that quickly when I'm under pressure when somebody's watching. So, Adam, I don't think I've said hello to Adam. How you doing? Michael P says, Joly, they say, okay, I'm not going to, sorry, not going to read that, Mike. I'll get in trouble. Yeah. So, Christia Freeland, she is up front in the polls. Yeah, you know why she's up front in the polls, or she's in the lead, is because of the way she resigned. But, you know, whatever. I mean, I have no idea why Liberals vote the way they do. I can't understand it. But, yeah. Carbon tax, Carney replacing globalist. Yeah. You know what? And here's the thing. If carbon tax, Carney, let's say that he ran for the prime ministership or the leader of the Liberal Party, and he got it. He's not a member of parliament. How does that work? He can't be the prime minister. So they still don't, we would be without a prime minister. So theoretically, Trudeau would still have to stay. If carbon tax Carney became the head of the Liberal Party, Trudeau would have to stay until after the election. Maybe that's the plan. I don't know. Because we can't have a non-member of parliament as the prime minister. Ronald McDonald, yeah, he might be a better choice. Mary Ng, Mary Ng, of course. That might as well just elect Xi Jinping, right? Kosher. I don't think I've said hello to you today. They have to pick someone no one knows that they can attempt to build up, like Kamala. There are a couple of people. The Chandra, I'm pronouncing this name wrong. I know it's Chandra Arya and Frank Bayless. Now, maybe it's just me that doesn't know these people. Maybe everybody else does. I don't know. Yeah. Sykes Knife, who from India in their party? It'll be them. Well, this Chandra could be it then, but I don't think that's going to play out. Pierre Gagnon. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I probably am. Are you a Justin Wrist Bandit? I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. Hey, Debbie. Sanderson. Randy. Have you been hanging out with Randy? No, I have not. I don't know who you're talking to. Which Randy? Are we talking about the other Randy or Cocaine Randy? I don't know. Zawalik. I'm really sorry. I'm bad with pronunciations of names. Hello, D. I think I've said hello in the comments before. Mary Ng is one of the traitors. I think she is. Yes. Pom Fum. I know I said hello to you in the comments. Nicole. Yes. Mr. Invisible. Hello, Nicole. Ravon. M. Ravon. Yeah, just for a joke, champagne would be great because he yells the loudest. I don't know, like even for a day, I can't stand him. Like I watch when Parliament's in session and they're, I do watch Question Period. I can't stand that man. Oh, he hurts my eardrums. Brad says, Jenna Suds should be PM. I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but Jenna always seems like she's on, that she's been smoking something. Like she is just so slow, so dull. I don't know. You know what? I'm just saying my perception. I'm not saying that she is. That's just my perception. Hey, Pat. I talked about that. 2 lawyers are taking they're, I don't know if they're taking Trudeau or they're taking the Governor General or the system to court, but they're challenging it. And that's in federal court. So for those of you who don't know, federal court in Canada is not like federal court in the United States. Federal court in Canada is an administrative court. It does administrative law regarding the government of Canada. So they have the courts themselves. I don't know how many they have, whether they have one or multiple. Then they have a federal court of appeal, and then above that is the Supreme Court. So it has to go through the federal court first, and then it could potentially go to the Supreme Court. But if they don't win at the lowest level, so if we don't win at the lowest level, then it's probably going nowhere because they can get it in fairly quickly at the lowest level. But if it has to be appealed, then there could be a problem. And, I'm pretty sure they would have to abide by the federal court ruling at the lowest level until such time as they were able to appeal it, if the government appeal it, which means that they would run out of time, I think. I don't know for sure. Tracy, chaos versus common sense distraction. That's right. Joseph Roger. Hello, Joseph. Dissolve the Liberal Party would be the best, yes, and the NDP. So Zawalik, I'm really sorry. What do you mean 07 Northwest? I'm not sure the 07. Am I losing it? Did I tune out or something? Pat Allen, hello from Alberta. Because it was the other Pat I said hello to. M Chick, you're back. It's been a while. How you doing? So Adam, I don't think I said hello to you. Doug Smith. Vote Randy. Get 2 PMs for the price of 1. As long as you don't have to pay 2 PMs. But that's true. We got 3 because now we've got Cocaine Randy. Debbie Sanderson. Yes, Randy for PM. So has Jagmeet and the NDP, have they what? They have committed to voting non-confidence, but I don't know if they will. Hello, Neil. I think I said hello to you before. Canadians in general aren't aware, for instance, that Harper signed Canada to the UN Agenda 2030 just before he left office. Everybody's entitled to do something wrong. I liked Harper, but he did some things I didn't appreciate. No prime minister is going to do everything that you agree with, but as long as we can hopefully fix it, DJ, how you doing? Good day. Let's see. Yeah, don't vote for the wrong Randy. So I guess it must have been. See, it must have been in Washington because I believe he will be going down to Georgia for the internment, but I think that they have the memorial services in Washington, and then a funeral down in Georgia. So Trudeau is probably in Washington. Yeah. Flying all over the place, but no carbon tax for him. No, we pay his carbon tax. Yeah. Sophie was hired to marry Trudeau by close. You know, going back to his mother, that was a business deal. But, I mean, that's ancient history now. But for sure, like, I'm old enough to know that was a business deal. His mother and Pierre Trudeau. So Norm mentioned, so the 11-1 unanimous decision in the UK Supreme Court back in 2019. So I don't know what, look up the book Boris Johnson's dad wrote. Did he only write one? I can look it up. I don't know what his name is, though. There's a lot of Johnsons out there. Is it Boris Johnson Sr.? But I'd look it up if I could. They censor me on here when I write it. Do they really? Okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah, they censor a lot. Like, I get a lot of complaints about that. And I used to have the time to go through the held comments because a lot of that, and I would just approve a lot of those. And then the hidden comments as well. If you put a link to something, that will automatically put it in the hold comments. And I don't, especially this week, because I had that one video that did really well, and there was thousands of comments. I'm still not through all of the non-held comments on that, so I don't get a chance to actually always look at the the held comments. Annetta, how you doing? If you are a praying person, do so. Well, I probably should pray, but maybe I'll get back into that. Where is that? Lisa, how you doing, Lisa? I think the lawyers have a good chance of winning the case. What he has, So if they accept the UK precedents, then they do have a very good. I think they have a very good shot. By it was done for Brexit. Brexit, yes. Thomas Gordon, how you doing? I think I'm getting down to the end of it. I don't know. Maybe because I do this on my own. I know that it kind of grinds down a little bit. Hello, John Wood. Does anybody here actually believe that we should keep the monarchy? Let me know. If they choose Elon Musk, they might have a chance. Elon wouldn't run. Elon used to be woke, quote unquote woke, and he used to be kind of liberal, but he's gone fairly centralist now. So, which the liberals and the NDP and everybody else will tell you is far right, but it's not. Bonnie C, how you doing? A lot of things popped up here. Yeah, we were talking about this before. I guess so. Northern Perspective did a piece on it, but because of the constitution of the Liberal Party, it's unfortunate, but you don't have to be a Canadian citizen, 18 years of age. It's whatever they say, and it's unfortunate that they will that they will be able to vote for him. Yeah, he was smirking. He always smirks. He was probably dancing on the coffin too, that little disrespectful piece of crap. Did I say that out loud? I guess I did. Liberal Han Dong of Don Valley North had votes from a couple busloads of private Chinese high school students of Markham vote. Yeah, so that came out in the interference inquiry. Kosher says the only reason he would mind becoming the 51st state is because of the Constitution, but the IRS scares me. I would not. I would never vote for 51st state. I would vote for 51st to 60th, probably, but I would never, ever, ever vote for Canada to be one state. It's too big, and we would essentially be controlled. It would be the same as it is now. We'd be controlled by Ottawa, basically, because that would be where the state capital would be. And they would have more control over us, even more than they have now. So if you have to vote, don't vote for that. If there comes to be a vote, definitely don't vote for that. Not saying that we shouldn't merge, that it wouldn't be a good idea, but to be one state is a horrible idea. I would say one state for the Atlantic provinces because of the population only. And when they get more population, then they could consider dividing it up again. I would say one state for Quebec, 2 states for Ontario. Outside of the GTA, make another state that is more conservative. Then Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta, each their own separate state. 2 states for British Columbia. 1 state, Vancouver and Vancouver Island. Unfortunately, I'm on Vancouver Island, so I would be in that state. But 1 state for everything west, the Fraser Valley eastward, because they're very conservative. But other than that, I think that would be more equitable for and more palatable for the U.S. as well, because the Republicans wouldn't really like it if there was just one state, or if the provinces were aligned as they are, and there were so many more Democrat states. So, I'm Acadian. I have no elegance. Allegiance probably is what you meant, to the crown. I don't either. I'm originally Acadian. I was born in New Brunswick. My mom was French, from New Brunswick. Unfortunately, I don't speak French. Well, I do, but just enough to get me into trouble and not enough to get me out. So I'm not going to. So I think who wants more population? Well, here's the thing about population. We would get a lot more population because the oil patch would open up. All of the energy resources all of that stuff would become very, very, it would just go to town. There would be so much exploration, so much development. And with that, instead of moving all of the oil to the south, to the Gulf Coast, the Gulf of America. They would build refineries here, which we should have anyways. We should be refining all of our product, and we should be liquefying all of our natural gas. And if that comes to pass, then our economy will soar. It'll soar even more the other way, but that's just, anyways. Hello, Liz. I don't know if I said hello to you, and hello, Mike. And I'm just about to sign off, Mike. You joined in way too late. Oh, well, that's just the way it goes. Because I rambled on about what I wanted to ramble on with, and now I've talked about, I've gone through all the comments. Fern is a loyalist, but there comes a time when things will change. It always will. The only constant in the world is change. Michael says 20-cent beer would populate our country. Yes, it would. Prorogation should not be allowed. Of course not. And it won't be. I don't think there is such... Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they can do that in the States. They can't do that, can they? Okay, well, I'm going to check out now. I've been having... hello, Joe. I don't think I said hello to you either. So I've got to do some work on the house tomorrow and the next day to get ready for this course that I'm teaching. Finally, my classroom is up and running. So anybody who wants to take that course, let me know, because I still have lots of seats left. I did get some interest today. So I don't know how many people are going to join in, but I actually had about 8 people signed up, and 6 of them dropped out. So I've got 2 coming, and maybe more, because there is a bunch more interest. So good night, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. And you know what? There's going to be so much stuff happening. Who knows how many videos I'll be putting out this week. So I'll talk to you all later. And, but somebody mentioned my guitars in the back. Yes, I have 2 Seagulls. One is upstairs. One is here. I have, and 2 Godins. And one Lapete, I can't pronounce it. It's but it's a Godin product. So those are 5 Godin products. So I have, so they're cheap, they're inexpensive. I do have a couple of kit guitars, like 3 kit guitars, 2 Telecasters, 1 Strat that I made, and then I have a couple of Epiphones, and I have 1 really old Yamaha classical. Which is what the La Petite or whatever, what that is. And that one actually, that's a, so that's classical as well. So anyway, good night, everybody. Take care. And hopefully we'll see you next week.
You've been watching the Northwest Cavalryman Show. Thank you for tuning in this evening. I hope you've enjoyed the content. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and share with your friends and on social media. May God bless you. And if you're a liberal crybaby, bless your heart. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next Thursday.